Alright. So, when I left here Wednesday, I was thinking about our project. I came up with something that I thought would blow our teacher's mind. I said, ethics are the trees that produce our moral seeds. That was kind of sweet, right? Then I blew my own mind. Started thinking about Einstein. In 1905, Einstein came out with E equals mc squared. Alright, which means energy equals mass times the acceleration of the speed of light squared. Alright, you guys follow me? Which means the light coming out these light bulbs are the same thing as this bulb. They're one and the same. Alright. Well, me being so familiar with Einstein, when we just started doing ethics and morals, these two letters stood out real quick. I was like, man, what could I use for the C? I consciously started thinking about what I could use for the C. And by doing that, I thought of consciousness. So it became to me, E equals mc squared is ethics equals moral consciousness squared.
You go, boy.
Alright? And that makes perfect sense because I was only able to create this idea by using this formula. I didn't even know what ethics was 2 weeks ago until our teacher Jonathan explained it to us. But I knew what morals was. So it was almost like my morals and ethics collided with his morals and ethics. And by doing so, we split it in an atom. And that atom was this thought that I had. So it makes perfect sense because ethics is the energy of all of our morals. And through that, it creates our moral, one person's moral, our moral. And we do that with our consciousness. And what's funny about the consciousness is it works perfect to Einstein's theory about c being the acceleration of the speed of light, because our consciousness is also the acceleration of the speed of light. Right? So, I took it a little bit farther.
I've got a thinking cap on.
I took it a little bit farther. Einstein said we got space and we got time. Alright? And then we have the speed of light. And that's per second. Miles per second. It's 186,000 miles per second is how fast light goes. Alright. So if I created a mirror image using my own, well, hold on, I'll back up. Einstein said if we went in a straight line with the speed of light, we'd be going at 186,000 miles per hour. But he said if we was like a rocket, an object that has mass, and there was a clock inside, once we reached the speed of light, we're really close to it, our clock inside the ship would stop. And the reason that is because all the energy from the object is being used at the rate, at the speed of light. So all that energy makes that object so heavy that it can't move any faster. So the clock kind of stops in the spaceship, but everywhere else, time is moving the same speed. Alright, and I was like, wow, that's kind of cool. So what he's saying is, if you're an object, you're moving through space and time. which means you're not really moving that far through time. Relative. First, we went really fast through space. But now, since we're going through space and time, relative, we're not really going that far through space, but we are in time. All right, so if I created a mirror image of that, using my theory, we have consciousness and unconsciousness, kind of like awake and asleep. But through our everyday lives, when we're walking around, talking, interacting, I think we're moving through space and time, which is with our consciousness. But what happens when we go to sleep? Without a clock or the sun and the moon to tell us it's daylight or night, when we woke up, we wouldn't realize any time had passed at all. It's because at that point, we're only moving at the speed of light through our unconsciousness and not through space and time. So therefore, it appears that no time has passed at all, just like Einstein said in his theory.
Einstein was ethical.
I think Einstein was ethical because he called the United States, or he wrote a letter to the United States saying, hey, I realized something. And there's some crazy stuff going on in our world right now, and I believe you guys are the only ones that's able to use this information the right way. And I think that was awesome because Einstein's theory wasn't really that new to us, in a sense. Because in my theory, we've been applying that at least since 1776 when we wrote the Constitution. It kind of almost applied my theory. Because the way we find a man guilty or we elect a president, we take our moral consciousness and we combine it. All right, and then we can say this guy's guilty or this guy's president. But until we connect our moral consciousness at the speed of light, we square it. And by doing that, we're able to make an ethical decision of right or wrong.
Well done, Jesse. You must have had one kick-ass weekend. Got to share what you're smoking.
No, I'm kidding. No, that's good. Mind blowing.
Oh.
I love how you.
I don't know.